Hi, everyone. Many of you knew her as Mrs. Milholland, others as Miss Marsh, some as Dolly, others as Sissy. Some of you knew her as Mom, or Babbings, or Darlita, or Loon. Whatever name you called her, thank you for joining us to celebrate her today. We know that Mom's reach spread far and wide and that her loved ones live in a lot of different places. Whether you're joining in person or via the live stream, you love her and your support mean the world to us. So welcome, and we're so glad you're here. Let's bow our head for prayers, please. Dear God, thank you for this beautiful rainy day and for the opportunities for refreshment, peace, and growth that it brings. Help us to feel your presence this afternoon as we celebrate someone we all love. Sorry. Thank you for this beautiful community of people and the experiences we've had with her, as well as the innumerable ways those experiences bless our lives. Please help us to continue being there for each other and passing those blessings on to other people. Whatever each of us is needing today, help us to find a little bit of that here together. Please give us hope for the future, and now in the season in between, give us the courage to plant good seeds so she can one day see the spring and enjoy it with us. We love you. Amen.
Hello, this is Megan and Emily.
And we'll be telling you about the incredible life of Dolly,
Our mom.
forming roots.
Darlene Elizabeth Marsh was born on August 9, 1955. Her family lived in a modest country house on the farm near a tiny town in the Central Valley called Dos Palos, or in Spanish, Los Palos. We like to joke that she wasn't even from the sticks. She was from a farm outside 2 sticks.
Dolly grew up surrounded by a close-knit, loving family. Her daddy, Homer, was one of 12 siblings and a Dust Bowl migrant from Arkansas. He worked 7 days a week as a foreman on the Willis Ranch, over 1,000 acres of farmland along the San Joaquin River. Her mama, Etta Lou, one of 9 siblings, worked 2 or 3 jobs to give her daughters a Christian education. She spent her time off caring for extended family and running errands for friends in need, and would often take Dolly with her.
Baby Dolly had 2 sisters, Nancy, 7 years older, and Yvonne, 8 years older, who took her everywhere and remained the closest of friends. She even lived with Nancy to attend 9th and 10th grade before going to Monterey Bay Academy.
Family was her happy place and center. Growing up so close to her parents and sisters, as well as McClintock and Marsh, aunts, uncles, and cousins, gave Dolly the network of support and foundation of love that would form her character and motivate her choices for the rest of her life. Growing strong and true. In her childhood and teen years, Dolly didn't have a competitive attitude, but she was athletic and had a playful spirit. She loved being outside, playing sports, and often recalled listening to and watching 3 different games with her daddy as he taught her to keep score for all 3 simultaneously. Later, decades into her teaching career, nothing had changed. She shared her love of play with students, often at the center of dodgeball and kickball games, while wearing high heels.
Encouraged by her mom and sisters, Dolly was curious, loved learning, and had many interests. By the time she reached 3rd grade, her teacher had to limit the number of books Dolly was allowed to check out because Dolly had read all the books in the younger grade library and was progressing too quickly through the upper grade books.
Dolly grew close to Jesus and chose to be baptized in elementary school. She found inspiration in God's unconditional love and Jesus' character and drew strength from her faith. She believed in doing good because it was the right thing to do, not to gain a reward or avoid a punishment. Throughout her life, this integrity won her the trust and respect of elders, youngers, and peers. She was non-judgmental and rarely allowed a mean word to go unchallenged.
Our family liked to joke about her rebellious streak because in high school, when a teacher would give an interpretation she didn't agree with, rather than interrupt the class, she would leave a thoughtful, respectful note on the teacher's desk, posing questions and describing her alternative perspective.
Witnessing her parents' commitment and self-sacrifice, Dolly was conscientious with tasks large and small and knew the value of hard work. She worked as a grader and RA during the school year and on tomato picking machines every summer to pay her tuition at Monterey Bay Academy, where she graduated in 1973, and Pacific Union College, where she graduated in 1977.
When she got to college, her diverse interests led her to consider careers in architecture, law, and sociology, but living up to her affectionate nickname as the Child Whisperer, Dolly's love for learning and care for children led her to choose a career in teaching. Current and former teachers saw her potential and hired her right out of PUC before she had even finished her final student teaching. Branching out! Dolly's teaching career began in the fall of 1977 at Virgil Housel Memorial Christian School in Santa Cruz. She had a wonderful first class, which included future friend and kindred spirit Leticia Rosado Russell. Leticia remembers that Dolly always seemed like she knew just what to do in the classroom. She put her unique creative touch on everything, including hand-making first-grade graduation diplomas for her students.
After just a few years at VHM, Dolly taught an adorable and goofy child named Jonathan Walters, whose mother, Paula, quickly became a lifelong sister and friend. Dolly had been enjoying the easy-breezy, unattached single life, filling her non-teaching time with beach days, cultural events, art, and imagine this, jazzercise classes. Then in Christmas of 1981, before a Christmas shopping and birthday outing for Paula, Dolly, and friends, Paula mentioned that she needed to pick up her brother, John Milholland, from the airport and would join them after. John had been living and working in Hawaii, and his parents had gifted him a ticket to the mainland to visit family. In telling us the story, Dad shared that he doesn't remember who else was there, but Mom made a lasting impression. Fortunately for them both, a major storm blew through Santa Cruz and delayed John's flight out for a week, giving him time to invite Dolly out to dinner in what they both agreed was a horrible Chevy Chase movie. John headed back to Hawaii, and they spoke on the phone a few times and wrote each other letters. A month later, John decided to move back to the mainland, which was just in time for a Valentine's Day beach date with Dolly.
They were engaged by June, and just 11 months after their first meeting, on November 25, 1982, Thanksgiving, Dolly's favorite holiday, they were married before family and friends in St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in Ben Lomond, and celebrated with a full Thanksgiving dinner spread made by their families. Dolly and John grew together. As John affirms, "She made me a better person." John loved that she was her own person. He loved her playful spirit, creativity, curiosity, and wide range of interests, and how their similarities and differences added to each other's lives. She loved John's sense of humor, intellect, sensitivity, love of music, and closeness with family. They always had things to share with each other and enjoy together.
Santa Cruz became a center where the whole family could grow and connect. Over the following years, Dolly celebrated family milestones. She got 4 of her nieces and nephews. Hi, Jonathan, Aaron, Aline, and Chris. Her sister Nancy married David Rouse, adding niece Darla and nephew Dave to the family. Dolly and John welcomed their daughters, Megan and Emily, into the world. That's us. She got to teach alongside both of her sisters, brother-in-law, and sister-in-law, and enjoyed multi-generational celebrations with Milhollands, Marshes, Hayeses, Rouses, Gibsons, and Walters. In her 21 years at VHM, Dolly became a pillar of the school, even stepping up to pinch hit as a teaching principal when needed. It helped to have the support of her teaching family and the whole staff.
In the summer of 1997, John and Dolly found an opportunity at Pacific Union College where John could follow his passion for music. Dolly was proud and supportive as they began a new chapter in Angwin. Ken and Julie Narducci entered their lives right away as 2 of their first new friends and have been honorary family members ever since. Dolly began 13 years of teaching at Foothills Adventist Elementary, while Megan and Emily started 7th and 5th grades. She enjoyed her students and appreciated her time with veterans and friends like Marlene and Suzanne, as well as cheering on young upstarts like Tammy, Brian, Cherie, and even her niece Erin, which was a special joy. She also had the pleasure of reconnecting with Leticia from her very first class while teaching her son, and starting a true friendship. During this time, Dolly was able to enjoy spending family time with John and her daughters, picked up hobbies old and new like knitting and painting ceramics, and celebrated her daughters' graduations from elementary school and high school.
In 2011, Dolly was led to serve as teaching principal at Clear Lake Adventist Elementary School, where over the next 11 years, she taught wonderful children in grades 1 through 8. She took on the new multi-grade challenge like the pro she was and treasured the community she and the kids created together. She felt so blessed and honored to be a part of her students' education journeys, many times through to graduation. She used her hour-long commute to and from school to pray, think, and make phone calls to family members. Dolly loved all of her students and appreciated her supportive parents, board and church members, and her indispensable volunteer teachers' aides, Victoria and Leslie. It was hard to say goodbye to working with them when she took the opportunity to teach kindergarten and first grade at PUC Elementary, where she would be part of a team of teachers again and be closer to her family.
It was so cool to see Mom excited and a little nervous last year because even though she had been teaching over 40 years, she had never taught kindergarten before. She was such a veteran and had an earned confidence in her teaching skills, so it was awesome to see her preparing for a new adventure. She loved her class and was so blessed to have the camaraderie and support of fellow teachers again, especially teachers who so clearly valued and respected her as a person and as a teammate. Last year was a beautiful blessing to our family, especially to Remy and Lincoln, who were gifted with more Nana time than ever before in their lives. This August, Mom was excited and looking forward to another good year with all her students, fellow teachers, and family. In the first 3 days of this school year, she loved giving hugs and seeing the bright faces of her class, now 1 year older and wiser, and giving the new students just a little taste of what they could look forward to at school. Bearing fruit and planting seeds.
Dolly and John gave their girls a great example of what it means for two people to love and be there for each other for life. They worked crossword puzzles together and would read aloud to each other at home and on road trips, short or long. John knew Dolly's love for the ocean, and they relished chances to travel to the coast for anniversaries or just to have special time together. Aside from their visible affection in little things like holding hands in the car or anniversary bouquets, or John dropping things off at school when needed, or just to be sweet, they saw and valued each other's strengths and showed up for each other. Dolly loved and supported John's music, and if you saw him performing, she had probably helped cut his hair and bought the shirt he was wearing. And John supported Dolly's interests and career through special music pieces at school, church services, manning fair booths, and constructing things for school events. And at the end of the day, after all their work was done, they knew they were coming home to someone who believed in them completely.
One of Dolly's distinctive traits was her creativity. She enjoyed introducing students to diverse styles of art and helped them create their own work inspired by artists like Van Gogh, O'Keeffe, and Kandinsky. Beyond just artwork, Mom was a wizard at building holistic units that allowed kids to make connections between multiple subject areas. One of my favorite memories from being in Mom's second grade class was the rainforest ecosystem we made in the classroom, built with the help of Dad's ABS pipe construction skills.
Woo-hoo.
Complete with hanging vines, swinging monkeys, blue morpho butterflies, tree frogs, and other crafted plants and animals paired with writing and books we had made. We were so proud and begged her to let us keep it up a few more weeks after open house. It inspired us to see and care for the beauty and complexity in nature. Then, she used the same ABS tree structures to create a completely different African jungle with Emily's first grade class the very next year.
That was just one example of how she and her teaching were always evolving. She enthusiastically participated in Apple's Model Technology Schools program in the 1990s with VHM. Fun fact, everyone knows Miss Frizzle and the Magic School Bus, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, Dolly was one of the original pilot teachers who tested out and reviewed the Magic School Bus books and curriculum.
Mom also had a huge love of words and reading, sometimes from the back of the book to the front. She had eclectic tastes and shared that love with students. Older students asked her to host a book club knowing she would choose the perfect books. Emily and I often took advantage of Mom's library and her curated recommendations. If you asked, she would make book suggestions in virtually any genre, suited to your taste and interests. She would even give you a range for different moods, a light book for fun, a deep literary novel, and an interesting nonfiction choice, just to give you options. And all three would be good.
Oh yeah. Mom made sharing your talents fun and loved to help people shine. Even though she would play the piano and sing with students, or with her daughters in the backseat singing at the top of their lungs, she never ever wanted to be on stage or hold a microphone. Honestly, she would hate how much we're talking about her today. She was a beautiful force behind the scenes and often was enlisted to create whole school programs for classes to learn and perform for their families, as well as for hospital patients, retirees, and other community members. If you went to one of her schools, you probably have fond memories of those as well.
Mom made it her mission to teach stories and choose memory verses and songs that help kids connect to the love of God and give them the courage and faith to be agents of that love in the world.
She considered it her highest responsibility as a parent and teacher to introduce children to a loving God who cares about them and to Jesus as a real-life example of how to live with that loving character. She was an angel on earth, and sometimes the one on our shoulder.
If you knew Dolly, you could feel that she cared about you and took joy in your existence. And the more time you spent with her, the more you knew that to be true. A hug, a silly face, a laugh at your joke, a sweetheart, 1,000 little things proved it.
Mom took time to celebrate with you, remembered to show up for important days, and made you feel special or thought of. She made holidays fun and full of life, building anticipation for Christmas with advent calendars and beginning to play Christmas music the moment she thought society would allow it. She made time to attend students' baseball games, recitals, and baptisms. She texted parents with updates and highlights about their children. She knitted scarves for friends caring for sick family members and gave plans to those who were grieving or had something to celebrate. Dolly was even better at meeting the needs of individual children. Though her care was always the same, her approach was different for each child. This was just as true with her own children as it was with her students. You might have an Emily who hangs upside down on jungle gyms, which turns into a trip to urgent care, and wears a wrist leash at Disneyland. Or you might have a Megan who is afraid of strangers with beards. No matter the person, Mom never squashed your true self. She valued and accepted you for exactly who you are and let you know that your best is always enough.
When Mom provided structure or reinforced values or rules, she did so with love and inspired the best in you. On the long car rides home from school, if Emily or I got upset with one of Mom's decisions, she would stretch one hand partway into the back seat, as safely as possible, and leave it there until we gave up our childish grievance, forgave her, and held her hand. Her approach to correction was to help a child reflect on the character traits they wanted to have and encourage them to find their own way to make things right. She helped you consider the other person's experience, and it was never too late to make a good choice, never too late to forgive, and never too late to find a creative solution. Many times over the years, even with my own children, I have seen her both affirm and correct by saying something like, "I am proud of how you're choosing to be truthful and trustworthy." She saw the good in each person and made you believe you could live up to her view of you.
Mom filled the role of mentor, counselor, and confidant to many people, from children to adult friends to young teachers. People trusted that what they shared with her would be received without judgment and held in confidence. There was not much Mom despised more than gossip. Listening was her forte, and encouragement was always soon to follow.
Mom was an introvert, but you might not guess that. If you were shy or new at school or in the family, Mom would be the first person to reach out and engage you in a one-on-one conversation. In situations that might otherwise feel isolating or intimidating, people gravitated to her warmth and openness, and she would become a favorite teacher, auntie, or in-law for life. When students she had taught would come back to visit or bump into her on the street, Mom would find out everything about their grown-up life with the same love, joy, interest, and investment as when they were her students.
In recent years, Mom added one more title to her list, Nana. She was an absolutely amazing grandparent to Remy Lou and Lincoln. She started loving her grandchildren before they were even born and didn't let up. She went out of her way to spend time with them and spoke to them in a heart language all their own. When she began teaching at PCE, it was an extra blessing for them because they got so much extra time with her, and their special Wednesday playtimes are memories they'll have forever. She loved them for their wonderful, silly selves and looked for opportunities to make their time with her a true celebration of life.
And as our mom, you think we've said a lot of words, but there are just not enough.
If we could, we would tell her these three.
I love you.
Or maybe even just two. Thank you.
Mom lived a life full of gratitude. Her favorite holiday was Thanksgiving, but to her, Thanksgiving wasn't just a holiday. It was a way of life. She reminded us to count our blessings and be grateful for what we have, knowing that even when you're hurt or down, there's still a lot to be thankful for, and those things will carry you through.
After the devastating loss of our mom, Lincoln was missing her and said, "I only got to have Nana for 6 years," and began counting the years different people had had with her. Megan responded to him, "Yes, and we want more time with her, huh? You know what? In those 6 years, she loved us enough for 1,000 years."
And while we would all wish for more time with her, we are grateful for every moment we've had, for the love that still lives in our hearts, and for the day that we will get to see her again.
God's given us years of happiness here. Now we must part. And as the angels come and call for you, the pains of grief tug at my heart. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, journey. Oh, the days will be empty, the nights so long, without you, my love. And when God calls for you, I'm left alone, but we will meet in heaven above. Oh, my darling, my darling, my heart breaks as you take your long journey. Fond memories I'll keep of happy ways that earth we trod. And when I come, we will walk hand in hand as one in heaven, in the family of God. Oh, my darling, my darling, my heart breaks as you take your long journey. Oh, my darling, my darling, my heart breaks as you take your long journey.
Hello, my name is Leticia Rosado Russell. Dolly was my first grade teacher, second grade teacher to my sons, and a dear friend. And she also featured in each of the essays that I wrote when I needed to go on to continuing education, and they asked for something about your life mentors. Linnell and I will be sharing memories of Dolly, shared by Dolly's friends, colleagues, and family members.
Friends of Dolly and the family have shared their thoughts and memories. Friends from her MBA days remember her as a sweet person who tried hard to be the best version of herself, the kindest, warmest, and loveliest person, beautiful inside and out, and everyone loved her. She was smart and always quick to enjoy a laugh as we walked to the beach, spent endless hours talking, listened to our friends play music, went on camping trips, and all of what made life so idyllic at MBA, Santa Cruz, and later PUC. What a wonderful person Dolly was.
In more recent years, friends have said, I always was grateful for her support, friendship, and love. She kept encouraging me to publish my first book. She was beautiful soul, thoughtful, insightful, kind, and funny. And the time she shared always left me wanting to share more time with her. She was everything anyone could ever want in a friend.
Dolly embodied everything that was good in this world. She left you feeling warm and like everything was going to be okay. Such joy and security. It's amazing to think how her spirit lives through all of the students and families she invested in over the years.
She had a heart of gold. She will have lots of stars in her crown. a treasure to all. Any day, anyone got to see Dolly's face and beautiful smile was a good day. She radiated love like no other. She was your mom, Megan and Emily, Ian and Gabe, and will forever be your guiding light and your North Star.
Students and parents, current and past, have reached out to share their memories of Dolly. One parent from her days at VHM shares, "Dolly was an exceptional teacher. In my book, she was a master teacher. She truly loved what she did and loved her students. As a parent of a child who struggled with learning issues, I will forever be grateful to Dolly for her willingness to go the extra mile with our child. She was so patient and understanding, kind and caring. She was a gift to the world of education."
One student from Santa Cruz said, "I have been hearing Mrs. Milholland's voice in my head, her kindness, her laugh, her words of wisdom. I recall being discouraged at times as an 8th grader. She never hesitated at being direct and compassionate. It was akin to being counseled by Mrs. Stacy from Anne of Green Gables."
Foothills and Clear Lake graduates have said, "I was very grateful for Mrs. Milholland. I could go on forever about it. And I really loved Mrs. Milholland as my 2nd grade teacher, but most of my memories come from her continued contact and love throughout the grades. She offered me my first job when I was in 4th grade. She put up with a lot, including catching me throwing sponges at the classroom's upper windows when classmates were spying from the outside. She took it all in stride, and I was always happy to go to work. In the years after Foothills, she was always excited to see us and constantly told us how proud she was of our accomplishments. Mrs. Milholland touched lives and fostered learning on a daily basis. I am so grateful to have been within her orbit."
A young Clear Lake graduate recalls, "The way I remember Mrs. Milholland is kind, empathetic, tough, and compassionate. She set high standards for all her students because she knew we were able to achieve them. She made us work hard, even when she worked twice as hard to be able to teach each grade, and stayed at school hours after the school day had ended. She was able to connect with every student on a personal level. She loved to listen to everyone, whether it was a story they made up, they needed someone to talk to, or words of encouragement, or just needed feedback. She was there for them."
Dolly's current students at PUCE have said, "I loved her as a teacher. Mrs. Milholland was like a bouquet of flowers. I love her songs and singing with her. I liked the stories she told. She loved art and reading. She was a great teacher and fun to talk to. She would never yell if you did something wrong. I love making jokes with her. I love that she always laughed at my jokes."
Dolly loved collaborating, and I'm starting in the wrong spot. Dolly's older student buddies at PUC Elementary shared, "Mrs. Milholland was awesome. I didn't know her for very long, but for the short time I did, I felt connected to her. Every time I spoke to her and saw her, she lit up a room. The whole school loved Mrs. Milholland, and we thought she was an angel to us, especially to the 1st and 2nd graders. She loved to attend our activities. She was one of a kind. Mrs. Milholland was one of the best teachers we ever had, and we will always remember wherever we are, whether we are outside playing or in our bed dreaming." One parent says, Colossians 3:12 reads, "Clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience." This is what I saw in Dolly. She was such a caring and wise teacher. As a parent of one of her current students, I can attest Her students adored her. She was so kind, gentle, and patient with them, and attentive to each of their individual needs, strengths, and challenges.
Dolly loved collaborating and developing friendships with fellow teachers and staff members. Jose Rosado recalls, during the 1972-73 school year at Monterey Bay Academy, a cheerful senior entered my U.S. government classroom, Darlene E. Marsh. All three of my children were privileged to have Ms. March as their first grade teacher. My daughter Andrea shared, Dolly was a very loving, caring, anchoring, and confidence-building teacher for all of us who started the school journey in her first grade classroom. Decades later, our paths crossed again when I was invited to be the principal at Foothills Elementary. One of my favorite memories was stepping into her classroom and Dolly's immediate invitation to read a story to her students. It was a joy to see the love of stories that she instilled in her students. On the other side of eternity, I look forward to witnessing a long line of Dolly's former students approaching her and giving her a huge hug and saying, "Thank you for teaching me and showing me a clear picture of a loving God."
A fellow teacher and parent from Santa Cruz says, Dolly was an amazing soul, a force for sure, a dynamo, in fact. She truly made a difference and did it with style, laughter, and love. Dolly was a wonderful light.
Cherie Bramham Hendrickson, friend and fellow teacher from Foothills, shares, there are very few people that, no matter the time or distance, hold a special piece of your heart for eternity, not just a season. This was Dolly. I brag even to this day that I loved and was spoiled getting students after she had taught them. When she spoke up, everyone would listen and soak in her wisdom. When my mom was sick with cancer, Dolly knitted a scarf for her and said a special prayer over her with each row she knitted. After my mom passed, I kept the scarf to remember two of the most important women in my life. This true daughter of God was a one-of-a-kind angel in disguise. One day soon in heaven, I can imagine her loving smile, warm embraces, and encouraging words to each person waiting in a huge line to tell her, "Thank you for being a mentor, confidant, showing me Jesus, and making me feel important, loved, and listened to."
Tammy Priest, friend and teacher from Foothills, shares, Dolly Milholland was an extraordinary teacher, a pillar of compassion, patience, and wisdom. I remember going to her for guidance on situations or ideas for my classroom. She was always thoughtful in her response. Dolly had an incredible ability to connect with each student, giving hugs, encouragement, or insight. Her warm smile and encouraging words made a lasting impact on those she taught and taught with. I'm blessed to be in her classroom right now as I teach students, including her grandchildren, whom she loved so much. She came to every event to share in their learning. I get a smile on my face when I see a book with her name in it, left behind for new students to learn from. Dolly was so special and was such an important part of who I am. I cherish the many years I spent with her and the friendship that remains.
Ted Calkins, former pastor at Clear Lake, says, I feel richly blessed by her ability to win the hearts of the kids. I thank the Lord for the time we were able to work together.
From her time at PUC Elementary, fellow teachers and staff say, she was truly a light in this world, and I feel so honored to have been able to work with her and to consider her my friend. She was the most patient and loving person I have met, and I learned so much from her in the short time that we worked together.
I fell in love with Dolly in just 1 year. She had such a warm, soft voice, and I loved how she called the kids sweet names. I will be a better teacher from having learned from her how to truly be Christian-like in the classroom. She was a gift. She showed me how to slow down, how to love everyone and not to be afraid to show my love. I only worked with her for a year, but Dolly was so warm and welcoming that it felt like I knew her for years. She was always looking out for me as a person, and I felt truly seen by her. I have been forever changed for knowing her.
Family members have shared just a few words to describe Dolly's impact on their lives. Dolly's niece Erin shares, Aunt Dolly was sunshine in human form. She had such warmth and vibrancy that people just wanted to be around her in hopes of absorbing some positive energy. From French braiding my hair before school in 3rd grade, to knitting hats for my babies, to calling across the country for a niece chat, she made me feel special and loved. That was her immeasurable gift.
Son-in-law Gabe states, Dolly was a beautiful soul. Her energy and character lit rooms. Always caring, respectful, and selfless, she helped me through my pain and anger of losing my grandmother just by listening. I loved Dolly like a mother, and I will miss her dearly.
Son-in-law Ian shares, I always appreciated that she took a genuine interest in you as a person and in what you cared about or were talking about. She was actually engaging with you as a person. Grandson Lincoln shares, his Nana describes his Nana as nice, kind. It made me happy playing with her.
And to tie the gift of these memories up with a bow, granddaughter Remy Lou shares an acrostic poem she made describing many of the things her Nana was to all of us. Nana, N, nice, A, amazing, N, nurturing, A, awesome.
Dolly, D, dear, O, optimistic, L, loving, L, listening, Y, yay.
Elizabeth, E, extraordinary, L, love, I, imaginative, Z, zany, A, awesome, B, best, E, enthusiastic, T, trustworthy, H, helpful.
Milholland, M, mother, I, intelligent, L, loving, H, happy, O, ohana, L, listening, L, lovely, A, admirable, N, nice,
D, delightful.
Dolly was my friend. There is a bench strategically placed on the edge of the playground at Clear Lake Adventist School, where a teacher can see the front gate, the front doors to the classrooms, half the ball field, the bathrooms, of course, and the entire playground. That's really important in a one-teacher school. But that bench means more than just the observation of students at play. To me, it was a place I knew my friend and I would end up sitting and talking. We would chat during recess or lunch break or a made-up recess. We would chat about everything and nothing. The weather and masking. Finances and sports. Family and friends. Excitements and pain. Crafts and creative games. Students, well, sometimes, and curriculum. We'd talk about our awesome superintendents. Yeah. And the conference. We'd talk about heaven. And love for God's children. She tried really hard to suppress her laughter when there was a constant staccato of tattling or eavesdropping, perceived or real injuries, and a myriad of other interruptions just to get her attention. She was so easy to talk to, a great listener, as you've already heard, and so willing to share. The time flew by, and many times she would actually break out into laughter when a student would come by and say, "This is Milholland? It's way past time to go back to class." I was always feeling uplifted by her and her students. Could it be that she modeled how God wants us to sit and chat? Linnell and Leticia did a marvelous job of letting you know what people said, the words. And I asked some of those same words, and you got the same answers. You've already heard what the answers I got. But I'm going to share them with you anyway. Yeah. Because the students would say, Miss Milholland, Dolly was my friend. I was sharing with some of those Clear Lake students Thursday the story of them getting longer recesses when I came by and sat talking on the bench. And Mandy, one of the students there now, whipped out a photo, the one you've already seen, and said, "Oh, you mean that bench?" Yeah, that bench. You see, in that moment, I realized it became very clear that that bench had been a place for a myriad of conversations with students about everything and nothing. With their friend, Mrs. Milholland. And so I asked them, and you've already heard the words, I've asked them to give me a one-word description. And this is basically what they said. You see them up there. You've heard them already. Funny, kind, helpful, loving, strong, nice, good person, best, smart, great, patient, fun. But I'm still chuckling about a story that the students told me Thursday of a field trip to the pumpkin patch. It seems that two girls got lost in the corn maze. No, they really got lost in the corn maze. And as time went by and it stretched further and further, Dolly and one of the mothers got very concerned. Somehow, I don't know how they did it, but finally somehow they secured the use of a golf cart. And like Paw Patrol on a mission, they went blasting through the cornfield looking for the lost girls. The vision of that in my head is amazing. Could it be that that modern version of the parable of the lost sheep, could it be that these two women were going to do everything in their power to find the lost students and bring them back safely, which they did? You know, Jesus does the same for you and for me when we drift away. But you say, Dolly was my friend. There are a lot of you, either here in person today, listening on the live broadcast, and some will listen to the recording later. You see, it became very obvious that there were many other benches. Where you would sit and talk about everything and nothing. You heard the descriptor words that the two ladies gave earlier. I'm going to add some here to this one because these came from you guys. If you are thinking of a word right now and you didn't get a chance to have yours up there, look, is it up there? creative, compassionate, friend, kind, warm, soft voice, welcoming, full of grace, elegant, and so forth. Everything anyone would want as a friend. Could it be that she embodied the meaning of 1 Peter 4:10 that says, use whatever gift you've received for the good of one another, so that you can show yourselves to be good stewards of God's grace in all its varieties? Could it be? Her family members say Dolly was my friend. Let me tell you, that's powerful. That's powerful. In this world of troubled relationships, it's refreshing to hear that children and grandchildren, a spouse, even sons-in-law called her friend. And I add some of their words to our screen. Yeah, might be a little hard to read. Finest Christian, nice, loving, kind, helpful, caring. You've heard them. You've heard them. Not sure they said mischievous, but that's up there. But I love these two remembrances that her daughters had of her that give us another glimpse of her character. I'm just reading now. She loved Christmas and hated to take down the Christmas tree. She had a collection of glass, gold, angelic, and heart-shaped ornaments, and at least once used them to redecorate the tree as a Valentine's tree. In February, the color scheme worked very well because by then the tree had turned a lovely shade of reddish brown. Here's another one. She was so loving about valuing efforts people made, even when the outcome was terrible. When I was 7 or 8 years old, I'm reading now, I wanted to make her a key lime pie. Well, it was a dessert for Mother's Day. Google didn't exist. Sorry. So I went by instinct and stirred together, are you ready, cooks? Stirred together lime juice, milk, and sugar. Yeah. The sour, curdled result probably disgusted her, and though I did not ask her to eat it, she enthusiastically validated my effort to show my love. She seemed genuinely happy. She was amazing at laughing with you and showing people that she enjoyed you as a person and appreciated what you add to her life. Could it be that all of heaven was laughing with you on those days? Dolly was Jesus' friend. Do you remember the text that I had on the screen before I began? See, these texts, loved you with an everlasting love. I have the short version. These texts were texts that she had her students memorize, not the short version. As I have loved you, love one another. You see, these are verses that she tried to live by. Love God and love others. And to do that, go back. There we go. Come on. There we go. And to do that, she kept her eyes focused on Jesus so she could be an example for you and me. Could it be that Jesus is saying to you right now, Dolly's resting now, but I'm coming soon to take her and all of her friends to heaven, where there you will be happy together for an eternity. Oh, I want so much for you to be part of that great reunion. Could it be that He is calling you back to a closer friendship with Him? I can imagine Jesus saying, well, you've seen, you know. The Dolly was amazing and awesome there on earth, but just wait and see what she and you will be like in heaven. Changed in the twinkling of an eye. Oh, yes, he says, yes, I've prepared awesome mansions for you. But I can't wait. I can't wait to show her, to show you, and the entire multitude of her friends, the bench. I made for all of us to just sit and chat about everything or nothing for an eternity. You see, Jesus says, Dolly was my friend.
Stay gentle, keep the eyes of a child. Don't harden your heart or your hands. Know to find joy in the darkness is wise, although they will think you don't understand. Don't let the world make you callous, be ready to laugh. No one's forgotten about us, there is light on your path. Stay gentle, keep the eyes of a child, and wear your heart on your sleeve. Know to find joy in the darkness is wise, although they will think you are naive. Don't let them lower your shoulders, love them more while they try. Grow younger while you're growing older, be amazed by the sky. Darling, stay wild if you can. The girl with the world in her hand. The kingdom of heaven belongs to a boy, while his worry belongs to a man. Stay gentle, stay gentle, the most powerful thing you can do. Oh, gentle, unbreakable you.
Shall we bow our heads for prayer? O Lord Most High, God of all comfort, peace, hope, and love, what a blessing it has been for us to be gathered here. How we have seen your love flow through the life of this very ordinary, extraordinary person, Dolly. We come with grief and gratitude at the same time. She's no longer in our presence, and that brings us sorrow and loss. But we are deeply grateful that she was in our lives. For no matter how little of a time we knew her, or whether we knew her from birth and onward, she brought joy. She showed your love to the world. She loved children the way you love us as your children. Oh, Father, I just ask that you would go with us, that you would guide our steps to your marvelous throne of grace. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. The best is yet to come, for we have the blessed hope, a hope that burns in our hearts, a hope in the coming of our Lord. I just ask, Father, that you would keep us safe, that you would continue to surround us with your angels, that you would fill us with your holy presence, that you would use us, Father, to reflect your character of love to all of those around us. We thank you for that privilege. We ask these things, Father, in the precious and powerful name of Jesus. Amen.
Just some closing remarks. I'm Nate Furness, one of the pastors here at the PUC Church, and we would like to. The PUC Church sends its condolences. We are sorry. On behalf of the Northern California Conference and the Office of Education, we thank the family for Dolly's service, the countless hours. We are grateful for our teachers who pastor our children every day, and we don't want that to go unnoticed. And then to our pastor who led us today, I think there's going to be a bench for her in heaven where she can see the gate, the restroom, and all the kids playing on the playground. Amen. On behalf of the family, we thank you for coming here. For those watching online, we are grateful for your words, your presence. We are thankful for the countless forms of care, support, the notes, the cards, the hugs, the groceries, the dinners, the sharing of memories, and helping to create the opportunity to meet together today. You are invited to our fireside room. And where that is, if you go out these doors, and if you go up the steps to the left and just continue straight to the next set of buildings, the fireside room will be on the left when you get up there. You are invited there for light refreshments and an opportunity to chat, share memories, and write messages to encourage the family. Let me add a little pastoral advice. If you have a memory you wish to share, please write it down. The family can only absorb so many stories today, but your story of Dolly is important and they want to receive it. So take some time to write it down, to share it, so that in time they can then reflect on those and review those when they have that energy to share it. So I would encourage you, instead of sharing your stories today, write them down. Of course, share your love and encouragement. You can also, there's also a chance to get a sneak preview of the little library being created at PUC Elementary in Dolly's honor. Lastly, Miss Marks and the PUC Elementary String Ensemble will play 2 songs for the postlude. There will not be a formal recessional, so during the music, you can, at your leisure, exit and head over to the fireside room for the reception, or stay to enjoy the 2 songs before going over. Again, on behalf of the family, thank you for being here today. Thank you for your support and your love.